CeaseFire's got the fire plan to get us 0 kills, but it won't come cheap. Probably cost 30 mil, but it's so worth it. Don't want to see no one dead. I know it's real cause even I had a gun to my head. He said get out of this place, made me hang to my faith. I am running now, I'm running for the mayor's race. It goes 4 years, no more tears, that's the plan. I know you here, so stop the violence. 30 mil, CeaseFire, we got the bill, say 4 years, no more tears, that's the plan. I know you here, so stop the violence. 30 mil, CeaseFire, we got the bill. Alright, now I have your attention. Let's talk about the Everywhere, Every Ward, CeaseFire, homicide reduction plan. It's a plan I put out last week, and it's specifically targeted to lower violence 50% within 4 years for $30 million, mainly using the public health approach to stopping violence, CeaseFire. So before we begin, I want to talk about violence as a whole, because I believe it's my views on violence that really separates myself from the leaders and the candidates that are in this mayoral race. Mayor Mitch Landrieu talked about violence being two things. First, it's a public safety issue, and then it's also a public health crisis. Okay? So the majority of the candidates, the leading candidates, are talking about reducing violence through using tactics that are public safety oriented. And what that means is basically they want more police to go after the fact, after the violence, after the murders, go in, find the perpetrators, take them off the street, put them in the criminal justice system, and hoping that that will reform. Basically taking them off the street because they are public safety hazards, some of these guys. And so already we spend 62% of our annual budget here in New Orleans on dealing with violence retroactively, through that public safety approach. So really what I want to focus on, and the reason why I'm running for mayor is because I believe that we need to look at violence as a public health crisis. Okay? That means we need to start looking at violence as a disease, and we need to look at it as curing, to cure it like a disease. And what that looks like is the majority of my plan, the bread and butter, is all around CeaseFire New Orleans. Now, CeaseFire New Orleans takes violence interrupters, puts them on the street to interrupt violence before it happens. It stops beef from becoming deadly. My plan would put hundreds of these violence interrupters all around the city, but specifically in the hot spots of violence. We could look at disease and the way disease spreads and the way it orients itself. It creates these hot spots. It's the same thing with violence. We all know that there's certain corners that we try to avoid because there's 5 to 10 shootings there per year. It's a 10 by 10 block area, and there's constantly shootings, there's constantly murders, and those are hot spots. So CeaseFire goes in, and they have these violence interrupters, and they make sure that any type of arguments, any type of beef that starts there ends peacefully through conflict resolution. And they're extremely skilled at what they do. They're highly trained, highly effective, and highly they're the most magnificent people you'll ever meet. So they're very good at what they do at persuading people not to go down that road of violence. And everywhere where CeaseFire has been present, within 2 years there's been an average of 40 to 70% drop in violence in those areas. That is significant. I don't know any other program that can tout those types of numbers. And it's happened nationally, internationally, and even here in New Orleans we have a pilot program with Central City. And within the first 2 years we had 220 straight days without a homicide and 100 straight days without a shooting. And this is in the area of the city that is historically and statistically the most contagious, infected area with violence. Okay? And CeaseFire was able to go in and make a change, a real change with the people that live there and with the highest risk individuals. Because they're credible. They're credible. They've been there before. They can talk to guys who are in that situation right now, and they persuade them to go a different way. And so the majority of my plan, Everywhere, Every Ward, CeaseFire, just looks at taking what we've done in Central City and what CeaseFire has built and expanding it to all the hotspots in New Orleans. By my estimate, there's about 12 to 16 hotspots of violence that if we set up a site that's a 10 by 10 block, that these violence interrupters are there 24/7, talking to people, hearing what's on the street, going and intervening, and then working with the highest risk participants to make sure that they get out of that high risk lifestyle that they're involved in. Now, as I said, this is an extremely effective way of dealing with it. At any point every year, I spend no more than $10 million, so a total of 4 years it would be $30 million. And we spend about $150 million on police alone in our annual budget. So, in order to change behavior, that's our end goal, is to change behavior, we need to look at how we do that. We have to interrupt the pattern. We have violence interruption. That's the violence interrupters. We have to change social norms. Okay, I'll talk about that in another video. But another part that I really want to talk to is we have to mobilize the community. Okay, this is all the people who aren't shooting or being shot. Those 90% of the people who are living in this community, they're working, they're trying to raise a family. You know, they're trying to do what's right in life. They're trying to survive and try to just really, you know, live. And sometimes we get on them about not going out and doing something. And sometimes politicians will stand up here and try to give a great motivational speech about how you need to go out and you need to help, you know, cure the violence. Well, as a community organizer, I know speeches are great, but in the end, it takes the hard work of community activists to go and reach out to those neighbors, to those clergy, and establish relationships. Educate them about what, you know, CeaseFire is doing. Educate them how they can help. Show them how their participation is helping lower the violence. See these goals and let them feel like they're owning it. That's the mobilizing them, bringing them out whenever there's a shooting or killing, and letting these community members say that this is not an acceptable behavior. Violence is not tolerated here. Okay? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to mobilize that community to let them stand up and let them change the social norms and put pressure on those at highest risk to put down that gun and choose a healthier lifestyle. Choose a life-promoting choice. Okay? So, once again, my name is Charles O. Anderson. I'm a candidate for Mayor of New Orleans. Please check out my full plan, Everywhere, Every War, CeaseFire. Homicide reduction plan is on my website, charlesoanderson.com. And as always, please send any questions you have about CeaseFire, about my plan, about what I'm trying to do here in New Orleans. I am more than happy to answer them. And thank you so much just for sharing this and supporting what I do.